Violence erupts in Gabon as incumbent President Ali Bongo is re-elected in a disputed result. A controversial virginity-based scholarship for girls is under fire in South Africa. And Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg meets with African tech leaders on his Nigerian tour. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Now tonight we begin in Central Africa, where clashes have broken out in the capital of Gabon, where President Ali Bongo won re-election on Wednesday in a vote that critics say was fraudulent. Protesters in Libreville are reported to have set the National Assembly building on fire while chanting Ali must go. Opposition leader Jean Ping says Gabon security forces stormed his party's headquarters early Thursday, killing 2 people and injuring 19 more, some very seriously. According to various news reports, 3 people were shot and killed by security forces as the men attacked the opposition headquarters. However, the government hasn't confirmed any deaths. President Ali Bongo and UN Secretary General Ban have both called for people to remain calm and peaceful. Now, for the latest on Gabon's situation, we are joined live via Skype from Libreville by Idrissa Fall of Voice of America. Idrissa. Okay. It looks like Idrissa Fall is not on the line yet, and therefore let's stay here in studio. Let's get some perspective now from Nyaka Lagoke, who is an analyst and founder of the Revival of the Pan-African Forum. Nyaka, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, Vincent, for the opportunity.
Yes. Now, first, were you surprised by the eruption of violence in Gabon?
No, of course we're not. We were not surprised because it's a build-up, and the people of Gabon are fed up of the Bongo dynasty, and so they were preparing, that moment because they knew that Bongo sooner or later was going to try and cling to power.
Mm-hmm. But this was an election, and from all you can see is that it was held very openly. There was a result, and it shows that Mr. Bongo got 49.8%. Mr. Jean Ping got 48.2%. What's the problem?
No, there is a problem because, for sure we cannot say that, we are so convinced that Bongo won fairly the election, because Jean Ping himself, a non-remorseful Jean Ping himself, a couple of days ago, was saying that when he was part of the Bongo dynasty, under the leadership of the father, they used, to do fraud on election. That in 1993, I believe, one of those years, that the leader of the opposition won the election, and then Bongo's father did some fraud during the electoral process. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that this one has improved, the electoral fraud, and then he believes that he has won the election. I'm not saying that Jean Ping surely won the election, but right now it is a confusion. No one can say for sure, because it is difficult to have access, to the true result.
Mm-hmm. Now, from what you know, the history of this country and especially constitutional provisions, is there a better recourse than people going into the streets, fighting each other, building, burning?
It's not. I think that this is what I was saying in one of the shows. I believe that the irony of the Gabon politics is that to get rid of the Bongo's dynasty, the people of Gabon who organized, and then they did a pretty good job. They had to rely on somebody who was a part of the Bongo dynasty.
And that's
the tragedy and the irony of politics in Gabon. But I believe that they have to be willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice for them, to really try and put an end, to the dynasty of the Gabon, of the Bongos in Gabon.
Now, Jean Ping actually is in all ways related to the Bongo family. Mm-hmm. He has actually children with Ali Bongo's sister. So this is a kind of also a family affair, right?
Yes,
in some way.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That's the irony and the tragedy of our politics in Gabon. But this time, something that we have to know, that it looks like Bongo as the current president, it looks like he has alienated the French. because he opened up the political, the economic space over there, giving an opportunity to the Chinese. And then, in the context of the France-Afrique, that was a crime that he should not have committed. But myself, I am on the side of the people, and I believe that beyond Ping and Ali, the people of Gabon have the opportunity to charter like a new path, for a better Gabon.
Yeah. Now, do you think leaders have a responsibility here to guide their supporters so that there doesn't have to be violence, but that they should believe and trust in the systems to correct any of these mistakes?
The system is rigged in Gabon. Mm-hmm. We know that for sure. Mm-hmm. And so the system is rigged in Gabon, and then we cannot say that the current president has a good faith to try and do things openly. Yeah. So people have to take to the street peacefully and try to make their voice heard.
All right, Nyaka, let's try to get back to Libreville and reconnect with Idrissa Fall of the Voice of America. Idrissa, he's on the phone. Welcome to Africa 54, Idrissa.
Yes, thank you, Vincent, and hi to all your viewers.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, first, describe to us what the situation looks like in Libreville today.
Well, Libreville is very, very, very tense. You heard the riot yesterday night. They continued this morning. Car burned, National Assembly partly burned. They tried to attack the national TV. They burned the National Newspaper Union. And it did not stop only in Libreville because it's expanded in Lambaréné and over city like Port-Gentil, where they burned the mayor's office down there. And the government, just maybe 1 hour ago, the Minister of Interior did a kind of bilan of what happened yesterday. We're talking about at least 3 people killed and at least 1,000 people arrested between Libreville and Port-Gentil.
Now,
everything is closed.
Yeah.
You cannot find a gas station. They are protected by guards. People were lining up this morning to find only bread. All shops are closed, so that's the situation right now.
Yes. Now, in terms of the leadership on both sides, is there any effort to quell this riots, to stop the violence and perhaps have a better solution to this issue?
Yeah, that is the most surprising part because the president himself, Ali Bongo, just finished a kind of point of press. Those kind of things, you come stand up and speak by yourself, nobody asks questions, telling that this is the victory of democracy, and those who don't accept it, they are not Democrats. And on the other side, we have not heard from Jean Ping. I know that before the publication of the result, he called for calm. But besides foreigners like France or UN, for the time being, I think we have not heard any calls.
Mm-hmm. In very few seconds, you're saying the whole country seems to be getting tense by day.
No, because people are scared.
All right. Okay.
People are scared. The country is not working. Everything is stopped because people are scared. It's a kind of curfew people impose themselves.
Okay, thank you. And, Nyaka, we're kind of done. We're running out of time. But in 15 seconds, what do you think is going to be possibly the eventuality of things in Gabon?
I didn't get that.
What is going to be the situation?
Oh, no, I think that it's going to become more tense. Yeah. And then the people of Gabon have the opportunity, to take their destiny in their hands. And it's a hopeful sign for the entire continent of Africa because it's going to touch Congo, Kinshasa, and we go to Togo. And then there will be like a new wind of prospect and hope in Africa.
We just hope violence stops. Idrissa Fall, I want to thank you very much there in Libreville. And Nyaka Lagoke, appreciate very much your perspectives. Nyaka Lagoke is a founder of the revival of the Pan-African Forum. In part 2 of our discussion on Lesotho, Trade and Industry Minister Joshua Setipa discussed with U.S. officials concerns over a lack of rule of law and allegations of violations of human rights in his country. A native of Lesotho, journalist and Mandela Washington Fellow Billy Taote spoke with Mr. Setipa about the progress made by Lesotho in implementing of constitutional and security reform.
We have been consulting and reaching out to a broad spectrum of stakeholders here in the U.S. We started with the administration, as I pointed out. We spent a big part of the week on Capitol Hill talking to leadership both in Congress and in the Senate. We also went to the Department of Labor. We went to other stakeholders. And our message to them is that as partners, we've listened, we've heard the concerns that the U.S. had raised. We came to this week to report to them the progress we've made. We had, among the things that we had undertaken to do, or that was recommended to us as government, was initiate a broad range of reforms, constitutional reforms, security sector reforms, and implement the letter and spirit, the recommendations of the SADC Commission of Inquiry that was undertaken, that undertook its work in Lesotho last year. We came to report to them the progress we've made in that regard, and it has been significant report. We've launched the security sector reforms. We've launched the constitutional reform process. In fact, in a few days' time, we will be presenting to the SADC Summit a roadmap that we have drawn up together with our SADC partners under the leadership of the SADC facilitator, His Excellency the Deputy President of South Africa.
How has your response or your submission to the stakeholders here being accepted, and was the mood like, especially now that your country's eligibility is under review?
The issues are very difficult issues. They are very serious and sensitive issues, and the discussions we held were very frank. They were not couched in any diplomatic niceties to try and cushion where concerns where they were raised. Where we had difficulties, we also expressed those difficulties. But at the end of the day, we walked out of those discussions with one commitment, and that commitment was the U.S. is Lesotho's partner, and the U.S. will continue to play a very active role in helping Lesotho ensure that the reforms that we've initiated, not only are they sustainable, but they actually bring about effective improvement in and improve governance in Lesotho. These reforms are going to, amongst the other things, they are aimed at strengthening that civilian oversight and ensuring that the military, like in any other democracy, is answerable to a civilian government, and it is under the effective control of the civilian government. And that is what these reforms will bring, and that is the objective of the security sector reforms.
Well, in U.S. presidential politics, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has reaffirmed his vow to crack down on undocumented immigrants living in the United States, putting to rest weeks of speculation that he was softening his tone on the issue. VOA's Richard Green has the story on Trump's long-anticipated speech, highlighting the cornerstone of his candidacy.
The billionaire real estate developer laid out a series of goals in a passionate speech Wednesday night in Phoenix, Arizona, beginning with his key promise to build a wall along the 3,200-kilometer-long U.S. border with Mexico.
And Mexico will pay for the wall. 100%. They don't know it yet, but they're going to pay for the wall. And they're great people and great leaders, but they're going to pay for the wall. On day one, we will begin working on an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall.
Trump also pledged to create a new special force that will deport all undocumented immigrants from the United States to their home countries.
Our enforcement priorities will include removing criminals, gang members, security threats, visa overstays, public charges, that is, those relying on public welfare or straining the safety net, along with millions of recent illegal arrivals and overstays who've come here under this current corrupt administration.
The aggressive tone of Trump's speech was in sharp contrast to his subdued appearance earlier Wednesday during a joint press conference with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto in Mexico City. Trump told reporters that he and Peña Nieto did not discuss whether the U.S. or Mexico would pay for his proposed wall. But in a series of Twitter messages, the Mexican leader insisted he told Trump that his country will not pay for the barrier. Trump's Democratic opponent in the November presidential election told a group of military veterans Wednesday that Trump's quick trip to Mexico was not a good demonstration of the leadership qualities needed by a U.S. president.
It's more than a photo op. It takes consistency and reliability. Actually, it's just like building personal relationships. People have to get to know that they can count on you, that you won't say one thing one day and something totally different the next. And it certainly takes more than trying to make up for a year of insults and insinuations by dropping in on our neighbors for a few hours and then flying home again. That is not how it works.
Trump won much of his support throughout the campaign with the rhetoric that Peña Nieto called hurtful to the Mexican people. Trump has said the United States' southern neighbor steals jobs, sends rapists and criminals and murderers across the border, and does little to stop illegal immigrants. Richard Green, VOA News, Washington.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vincent Makori. Coming up, a controversial program for girls in South Africa ties scholarships to virginity. Stay with us.
I'm Bill Arcega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents, a roundup of the world's top stories with analysis from our dedicated reporters. It's really a conversation the same way that you would bring a friend to your home and ask them what's going on. And our correspondents will do that and answer those questions through their own eyes.
That appears a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.
It's time for a health report, and here with us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Madu with some new information on a very contentious topic. Lino.
That's right, Vincent. A scholarship program in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, is stirring controversy because the main condition to receive funding requires young women undergo regular virginity testing. 20-year-old Notile Mchunu lives in rural KwaZulu-Natal. She recently won a study bursary to pay for her university education. However, the scholarship has a condition. She must remain a virgin. It is the Maiden's Bursary, dubbed Virgin Bursary.
No one forced us to be tested so we can get these bursaries. The reason we are abstaining is we are trying to lower the levels of teenage pregnancy at schools, sexually transmitted diseases, HIV and other sexually related diseases. That is what we were trying to do, but people still do not understand.
16 young South African women have enrolled and are currently celebrating their achievements. Recipients of the funding are required to undergo virginity testing each time they return home from holidays to make sure they still qualify. However, despite its growing popularity, the Maiden's Bursaries scheme has sparked some controversy in the country.
It can have negative side effects, and I know that some of the girls, they really think it's a great opportunity, but I think in the long run there may be some severe negative consequences for them. I think that maybe if they get the bursary and they then meet someone and they get into a relationship, it's put on emotional stress for them that's unnecessary, and maybe if something happens and they lose their virginity somehow, then they will also lose this bursary.
Others who oppose the program say it is outdated and discriminatory against women, among other things. South Africa's Commission for Gender Equality ruled the Maiden's Bursary unconstitutional and banned the program. Mayor Dudu Mazibuko of Utukela Municipality initiated the program. She's convinced it will make a positive impact.
We feel we are not doing something wrong here. In fact, we are helping the society in reducing the teenage pregnancy, the HIV and AIDS infection, and the school dropout.
At the epicenter of the worldwide AIDS pandemic, South Africa now boasts the largest treatment program in the world. Research reveals 3.4 million people in the country now receive antiretroviral drugs that allow those living with HIV to lead normal lives. 19% of the adult population live with HIV. Girls and young women are the most vulnerable to infection.
The infection rate in the age group of girls and young women between 15 and 80 is worrying. That's the one that is going high. It's not going high in the rest of the population. It's in that age group where it is marching forward.
Notile Mchunu hopes the maiden bursary program will be reconsidered by the government. The bursary is also based on academic merit.
And we remain in South Africa, where scientists say they have discovered a compound that can help prevent and treat malaria.
It's called UCT 943. Researchers at the University of Cape Town hope it will wipe malaria out for good. They say the molecule has the potential to protect against malaria parasites and block person-to-person transmission. Professor Kelly Chibale leads the university's Drug Discovery Development Center. He says UCT 943 is a promising step forward.
It has the potential to cure malaria, and finally also kills the infectious forms of the parasite that are fed back into the mosquito. So it has potential to block transmission of the parasites.
Globally, there are more than 30 malaria vaccines under development. Another drug able to wipe out all parasites in the body with a single dose could become available by 2019. Researchers are also working on new insecticides to spray inside homes and on bed nets because mosquitoes have grown resistant to those already available. Jabali says the global fight against malaria is also a race against time.
We have to always remember that this is a constant fight between ourselves and the malaria parasite. That is only a matter of time before any medicine that is successfully developed and given to patients, before resistance emerges. So we have to keep a pipeline of molecules in development at different stages to stay ahead of the game.
Global malaria eradication efforts cost about $2.7 billion a year. Africa has made significant strides, slashing malaria death rates by 66% since 2000. UCT 943 promises to bolster that fight. Preclinical trials are set to last about 18 months before safety studies on humans begin. Heidi Adams-Fitzpatrick, VOA News.
And that's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter @Lenormudou. Back to you, Vincent.
Well, thanks a lot, Lenore. I'll be sure to watch Lenore Madou's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg visits the social media giant's largest African market. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Gabon, 2 people are dead and more are wounded when police attacked the headquarters of opposition candidate Jean Ping. And we stay in Gabon, where the incumbent president is calling on the country to leave behind the insults of the campaign. In Libya, the prime minister from the UN-backed Unity government toured Sirte while the government forces are fighting to take back the last neighborhood held by the Islamic State group. In the Central African Republic, aid agencies are working to prevent a cholera outbreak, the first in 5 years, which has infected more than 150 people and killed at least 18. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They tell you what people are talking about. So, for an in-depth look at the stories trending high on social media, turn to #VOA. It's not your typical talk show. From politics to pop culture, #VOA brings in the people leading the conversation, engages the audience, and gets answers to your questions. Hashtag VOA. Smart talk for smart people.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Facebook founder and chief executive officer Mark Zuckerberg met with developers and local businesses in Nigeria this week during his first visit to sub-Saharan Africa. Zuckerberg is looking to better support tech development and entrepreneurs across the continent. His first visit was to Yaba, where tech startups are rooted and creating a buzz. During a question and answer session, Zuckerberg said Facebook wants to make sure the social networking site loads quickly for people all over the world. In June, Zuckerberg's philanthropy venture made its first major investment, leading a funding round in a startup that trains and recruits software developers in Africa. Well, and in other travel news, the first commercial flight between the United States and Cuba in more than half a century transported travelers from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to the central Cuban city of Santa Clara Wednesday. The JetBlue flight opens a new era of U.S.-Cuba travel, re-establishing regular air services savored at the height of the Cold War. Commercial flights are expected to significantly increase the number of American visitors. Many of the air routes are currently used by expensive charter flights that are largely expected to go out of business. Well, and finally, David Beckham has explained the meaning of his tattoos in a new ad for a skincare product. Among the pieces discussed, the message, "We love you, Daddy," written on Beckham's torso, the number 99 on his pinky finger, and a drawing from his daughter Harper on the palm of his right hand. Beckham is developing his own men's grooming line, which is set to launch in 2017. And that is what is trending today. Well, that's our show for today. Now, be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us here in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords. Here are two words. They have to do with a kind of war. Listen to this expert in Washington, D.C.
Civil war.
This is civil war. We are not on the brink of civil war. We are not headed towards civil war. This is what civil war looks like.
Civil war. Together, these words mean a war between citizens in the same country. That is different from a war where one country invades or attacks another.
In the U.S., there was a civil war between the people in the North and the South. This was in the 1860s, when Abraham Lincoln was president. Now, when you hear the words Civil War, you will know what these newswords mean.